Hello there, and welcome back to this week's edition of Ask Ron, where our Gold Club members ask Ron questions. I've got Ron here with me. How are you doing today, Ron?
Outstanding, man. It's only 120 out there today.
It is a little hot out.
Just kidding.
All right.
Feels like it though.
Well, do want to give you guys a heads up. This is an asset for our Gold Club members. So if you are a Gold Club member and you have a question for Ron, head on over to the forum in the Gold Club and leave a post there, and we'll get to it next week. Awesome.
And if you're not a Gold Club member, why not? Go to ronsgoldclub.com and you'll see how cheap all this information is, how it's the best deal in real estate today with everything that's on our Gold Club site.
That's right. All right. You want to get into these questions?
Fire away.
Awesome. First one comes from Arturo Pietri. Apologize if I pronounced that wrong.
Probably did.
Probably. He said, "Hey, Ron, when you put a tenant in a house with a rent-to-own contract, how do you handle the HOA monthly fee and who pays for it?"
I added on to the rent, but I'm not going to let them pay for it. I want them to pay me with the rent, and I'll pay for it from there. That's the only way I know it's getting paid.
Awesome. And then he kind of followed up with that question and said, "Are there any different strategies that you handle based off of higher or lower amounts of the HOA monthly fee? And for example, is a $500 HOA monthly fee a deal killer?"
Well, that depends on the rest of the story. What's the ARV on the property? What's the rent you think you're going to get out of it? And I tell you, HOA fees kill a lot of deals, but don't just kill it because it's got HOA fees. I bought a 2-bedroom townhouse down the street. I don't know how many years, at least 12 years ago. And I just put it on the market with a realtor and cashed out of it. By the way, I paid 25 grand for it, sold it for about 200 grand. But, a long time ago I paid for it and didn't need any repairs. But the point is the association dues went from 280 to 6 something. And it got to the point to where it was very hard to even rent the place. Time you put a rent on and those dues, plus it's a low end townhouse community on top of that. So I sold it rather than keep paying those dues. It's going to be all the math. Depends on the value of the thing and actually what's part of the HOA dues. Does it have a pool? Does it have a meeting room? Does it have a tennis court? Does it have any of them cool things that people would actually pay for?
Awesome. All right. Next one comes from the infamous Tony and Angie Stewart out of Ohio.
Welcome back.
They said, are there any circumstances in which you would be willing to buy a seller an option on a property to buy it later at a set price rather than buying immediately with terms? If so, what would be the reasoning and the approach?
Well, I don't do options much. I don't even do lease options much. We try to get the deed so we own the place. But there is a market for options. You'll have to put up an option deposit, which is non-refundable. And you're going to have to deal with sellers that don't really need to get out of their house. And then you got the problem, how do we show the house if they're living in it? On their side, when they do get cashed out, it'll be all cash. They don't have to worry about due on sale clause or any of that stuff. Nothing changes on their side, actually, except they're giving you the right to buy with an option agreement. I'm sure there are good reasons, but it's hard to determine what would motivate a seller to do that. If they want to sell it, why don't they just put it on the market with a realtor and sell it now? But it is one of the options you can give them. And then it might even, the fee that you're willing to put up based on your feeling about how easy the house will be to sell might be the thing that's going to cause you to most thinking, because ain't nobody going to give you an option on a property for 6 months for $200 or whatever. It's got to be enticing enough to them. For example, $5,000 on a decent house in a decent neighborhood would probably be where you start. But you don't even want to mess with options. Well, I've not say that either. Options, I like options for high price properties that I don't want to make payments on. So that's a reason to just get the option and not the lease option. I can't put tenants in it. But I don't want to make the payments. So I'm not going to make the payments during the option period. But I have to put up enough option fee up front. And I know this non-refundable, that is, no refunds, in order to probably get the seller to get their head in the game. Why would I do that? So there's many other ways to do it. You could even agree to make the payments Well, you have it under option, but then that's monthly outgo. But that depends on the price that they're willing to sell it to you for and how strong you think the market is and what your ability is to get it sold, because you're selling them for all cash. So if I did an option, I want a lot of spread in it. If I'm doing $1 million house, I'd like to get it in around about a 1.8 or so, because remember, that's an all cash price and it's got to be in good shape. I'm not optioning anything that's not in good shape. I'm not doing any repairs on somebody else's property. I haven't been to that seminar and I'm not going back again. So if it needs repairs, then that's got to be reflected in your option price, and it'll also be reflected in the buyer's option price. They'll be willing to do themselves. But I'll tell you, in those high price houses, I find that most sellers don't want to do much. They want it all done for them. So best candidates, I can get a ton of equity in it. It's in great condition. It's in a higher end neighborhood. And then I can option it. My risk is only the amount that I put up for that option deposit.
Perfect. All right. The next question comes from Brian Lucy in Colorado. He said, so in your most recent YouTube video, you discussed the less I do, the more I make. I've always heard work in your business, not on your business. And I'm always confused by that statement.
Well, that's because you got it backwards. It's work on your business, not in your business.
And he said, would you give me an example of what the difference is for working on your business versus in your business?
Strangely enough, I just recorded a whole webinar on just that subject. So be on the lookout for it. Obviously, I'm working on the business. I'm the brains of the outfit. I'm looking down on the business, and I'm making sure that the people I delegate to are getting that done. And that's my job. And the rest of them are down there doing the minutia stuff and doing all the crap that suck up my day and waste all of my time that they can easily do. So I'm looking down from a 30,000 foot view on my business. That means I'm working on it, not in it. At Global Publishing, I work on it, not in it. This is the only thing that I do for Global. Just put this beautiful face up in front of you guys and start talking. The rest of it is all done by them.
All right. Next up, we have a question from Qiana Harvelle. She said, I just placed my first single family rental into a land trust. Mm-hmm. The house is vacant and needs light repairs. How do I raise the funds for the light repairs before renting out the property?
You didn't tell us whether it's free and clear or not, whether you have a loan on it or not. The easiest way to do is get private loan on it. And gosh, I wish you'd have told me whether you had what you owe on it. That would help my answer. If it's free and clear, then you can get a private lender to borrow the money to give you all your money back, plus the repairs, plus some holding costs till you get ready to either put a tenant in it or put it on the market for cash out. It's not free and clear, and there's plenty of equity in it. Private lender can do a second mortgage on it, same way. At the very least, lend you the money to do all the rehab and then some. Now, don't forget, very simple rule, Ron's rule of hard money. Always borrow more than you need. That's rule number one. Rule number two is don't ever forget rule number one. And if you can't borrow more than you need and keep it at a 70% loan to value ratio, combined with if there's a first on it, then you're paying too much for the property. It's a real easy safety factor. You're paying too much. Okay, so if that's the case, you better go back and renegotiate the deal. Did she say she already bought it? I think she did.
She mentioned that she put it into a land trust.
I mean, she already bought it. Okay. So these are the kind of deals I wish you'd get help on before you go do it, and then we have to fix a mess. So she probably don't have a mentor either. So, all right, well, you might want to consider to get to or get back to my Quick Start School as well. Okay, if you've been, it's free. If you haven't been, we got it on half price right now. So just call our office at 800-567-6128 and let them tell you what it's all about.
All right, we've got a second question from Qiana. She says, I have a property that I titled to a land trust and want to sell it on a land contract in Virginia. Is that possible? Yep. Or do the land contract and land trust conflict?
Absolutely. Your land trust will settle on a land contract to your buyer, no different than if it was in your name, selling it on a land contract to buyer. The sellers, the owner of the property is the seller. And of course, they're the buyer. So it's nothing really changes except the name you put on there as a seller. Your attorney will know all that. Don't you even think about closing that land contract without an attorney. You hear me? Don't you even think about it without an attorney. All right.
All right. And the final question that I have for you, Ron, is a land trust the same as an allodial title?
I don't know what an allodial title is. I've never heard that term in my life.
May pronounce it wrong, but
Spell it.
it's spelled Allodial.
I don't know what that is. I could ask Siri.
You could, or Chat GPT.
No, let's see. Let's see if Siri knows. Hey Siri, do you know what an allodial title is? No. It says model. What they're talking about. What is a model and when should I use? Come on. All right. Well, anyway, I'd have to type it in to get the answer, and I'm not going to do that right. Got to spell it. They don't get that allodial stuff.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of research on it whenever I pulled the question, and I can definitely see where the comparisons come from, but they did seem a little bit different. Not a real estate expert like you, so I don't want to comment on it.
I'm apparently not that big of an expert. I've never heard that expression in my life.
That was the first time that I've heard it too. So
see if I knew what state you'd live in. That would help.
Yeah, that is true. Anyway, that's all the questions that I have for you, Ron. Is there anything you wanted to say to the beautiful people?
You guys should know by now that we got a summit coming up here on August the blank.
7th through the 9th.
7th through the 9th. Put that in your book right now because it's free. And we got some really cool talent coming into this thing, plus me. And they're real experts out in their chosen field, all having to do with real estate. Very much worth your while to tune in on this thing. And it's a 3-day event. There's no charge to you. And I can't give you the hours right now because they have not been set. But I can give you a hint that we're going to be doing something called our 25th anniversary celebration here, because this is our 25th year at Global Publishing. And we are picking 5 people that want to come to Jacksonville and spend 2 days with me and my team doing stuff we've never done in any events before. So, including, you can also bring leads and we'll harvest those for you as well. But we're going to pick 5, but it starts with you putting your entry in. So we'll get to you here pretty darn soon and give you an application to get in that if you want. And everybody that gets in is going to get something yet to be determined. So why don't you tell us, if you get in, what would you like to have for a prize for free? Let us know. All right.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that I include the link to that application down in the description.
Okay.
And I believe it's set. We're announcing it during the summit, the winners during the summit.
During the summit on last day, but we got a lot of work to do before that.
We do.
So do you guys. You got to fill in an application and send it into us so we can scream. I'm not going to give you the formula for picking the winners. I ain't doing that. No way, you'll cheat. So you just got to fill it out blank now, fill it out and put the truth in there, and we'll pick the 5 contestants. And all 5 of them will come to Florida. Spend no charge for that. All right. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Ron.
See you all next week.